back to business in the new normal. So next 60 minutes, I hope you will get more clarity about this competition, how we are going to adapt the system, what we develop and all. So we have with us today Dr. Samantha Ratnayaka, chairman of the panel, judging panel, and the technical head of the CPM International Management Conference 2022, and Professor Lakshman R. Vatavala, founder and the president of CPM Sri Lanka with us today. So before we proceed to the technical sessions, may I invite Professor Lakshman R. Vatavala, founder and the president of CPM Sri Lanka, to give the opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dilshan. Mr. Dr. Samantha Ratnayaka, who is the council member of CMA Sri Lanka and also the chairman of the judges panel of our new event that we have started, and our director, Mr. Dilshan Alsukuratna, and various representatives who are present here from different companies and business organizations. Good evening to all of you. I'm indeed pleased to welcome you on behalf of the Chartered Professional Managers, or CPM Sri Lanka, the National Professional Management Institution in Sri Lanka. So our main purpose as a professional body is to build the profession of management, and also to do the professional education in order to enhance professional management in Sri Lanka. At present, we are conducting a number of programs which are connected with the management discipline. Of course, one of the more important ones is the management and entrepreneurship program that we are doing, and I don't know whether any of you all would have attended it, but that is at 3 levels, and I'm sure that that would be of great use to most of you who are attending this meeting. In addition to that, of course, we have our evening programs which we conduct, and where we invite eminent speakers on various topics that are there, and we find that that's also very well attended. Now, as you know, our today's theme is on the that we are planning to give a briefing, a technical briefing on the best management practices back to business in the new normal. Now, these are awards that we will be giving, and for this purpose, we have invited you all to listen to the details so that it will help you in submitting your application. Now, one of the, as you know, in 2019, with the COVID-19 pandemic, many of the companies, businesses have gone and have had many problems. But as a result of these new challenges, we've also been able to come up how to meet these challenges and take the businesses forward. If you look at the results of most of the public quoted companies, they have done better than what they were doing earlier. And this shows that they have been taking various measures and been able to conduct their businesses in the new normal. Now, even for our own organization, the Chartered Professional Managers, where we are doing the professional education, we have used the technology, which most of you all would have done in doing our activities, either whether it is education, whether it is examinations, the registrations, connecting with the members. So all activities have been done on that basis. And although we may not have been able to meet physically, we have been able to conduct these activities. As a result, we have been able to successfully carry out our various programs that we are doing. So this the topic today we are talking is to recognize and award those companies, those businesses who have been able to meet these challenges and do exceedingly well, or those who have been excellent in meeting these challenges. So that's one of the most important things. And we as a professional management body thought that this will also give an encouragement to the companies, business organizations, even government sector organizations, because they have all taken various measures, but today many of them are not aware as to what they have really done. Another important thing that we have done is we have connected our awards with our conference that we are going to have. This conference is also based on the management area and taking into account what has happened during this period. So there where we are going to select out of the people who are applying, the best 5 who will be able to make presentations. Now that's another recognition that we are giving, because when you are able to talk about the best practices, the excellence you have achieved at this conference, both to people who are physically present, plus those who are virtually present. So we are doing this on a hybrid mode so that a larger number could be covered, and your ideas, your thoughts, your excellent methods by which you have been able to come up and meet these challenges could be given to the audience that is there. So I think that is a very big, very good forum where the activities could be done. And as a management profession, we feel that unless there is good, excellent management in any organization, it will be difficult for them to go forward. They are not only in business organizations, either in the government or in state organizations, in government departments, everywhere, it is really the management profession that comes up. So we have also identified some of the sectors or companies that can also apply, because sometimes when we generally say that we give maybe appeal to the business organizations. Now, some of the best sectors that have been performing in this area. Now, if you take the banking sector, now banks have been performing extremely well. Although the banks have been having a lot of problems with the maybe certain sectors, but they have been able to maybe encounter those challenges that have come. So the banking sector is there. Then the other important one of the financing and leasing sector, which also have done extremely well. You know, if you speak to most of these companies, they have done well. If you look at the stock market, of course, the indices are going through the roof, but still, if you look at the performance of the companies, you find that they have done well. Then the insurance sector, although they have been hit by this, insurance companies have been doing extremely well. Then if you look at the diversified conglomerate companies, recently John Keel's announced, I think, a profit of maybe 9 billion rupees. Now, you can see how initially they had some losses coming, but then later they were able to overcome these problems and then become profitable. Then state-owned enterprises. Now, this is something that is of discussion, but the state-owned banks have been doing extremely well. So that's one thing that we also feel that it's very good, because they've been winning awards in different enterprises. So I'm sure that the state-owned enterprises, the sectors that have been having good management, who have been able to meet these various challenges that are there, have all done extremely well. Then the hotels and travels, of course, they have had various difficulties, but still they have come up with alternatives. So they are another sector. Then plantations, mainly earning the foreign exchange for this country. They also had a lot of difficulties, but still they have done, and then that's one of the main areas where we earn foreign exchange. Then, of course, the healthcare. Healthcare is, of course, the greatest important area, both in the public sector and the private sector. A small and medium sector, now that's the most important sector in our economy. Then chambers of commerce and educational institutions. which have also sprung up and done extremely well. Then the non-governmental organizations, the social service organizations, non-profit organizations. Then the power and energy now. Today, that's an area of a lot of discussion. But still, how they are going to manage, how they have managed is something that we only recently that these problems have come up, maybe due to problems in the foreign exchange area, but certainly they have done extremely well. In the manufacturing companies, how they have done, if you take the apparel sector, how well they have done, and they have gone into the export sector, and then they are earning the valuable foreign exchange. Then, of course, if anything has been missed out, they can come under our other category. I just mentioned these companies because definitely these are the sectors that are really doing extremely well in the country, and they have been doing well earlier, but they are doing much better. So they are people who can come into this excellent category that we are hoping to address and then collect. So those are some of the things that I thought that I will speak on, but I'm sure Dr. Samantha Ratnayaka, who's a senior management consultant and faculty member of the postgraduate of Institute of Management of the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. He is a member of our council, one who is very active, especially on the academic and also in combining both academic and business activities. So I will, without any further ado, I will invite Dr. Samantha so that he can go through the details, and thereafter we can take any questions. What I would suggest is you can send questions through the Q&A, but if someone wants to raise a question, please raise your hand and we will give you the opportunity to speak, but please see that it will be made brief so that we can give the explanation. Over to you, Dr. Samantha.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor, and thank you, Dishan also. Let me straight away share the presentation and start the proceeding. Right, let me check that.
Okay, yeah, okay, fine.
Right. So once again, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this technical briefing. Now, as Professor very clearly articulated, the CPM, the Chartered Professional Managers of Sri Lanka, has taken this initiative to do something at the time of transition, at the time of turnaround, at the time of transformation, which is required in different forms. So, as Professor Watavala clearly articulated, that what I will do, I will take these few slides which we have shared in document form. So you have received a couple of documents, but we would share these, and after that we can take up any questions and we can take the discussion forward. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the best management practices, CPM Sri Lanka intervention, though I am not going to like have an education session here, but if you look at management per se, it is an integrative function in an organization. So if you look at all planning, all sorts of arranging, organizing aspects, the giving leadership, having all sorts of control. So if you look at all these key functions are being integrated in all forms, irrespective of the sector, irrespective of the level. Now, when it comes to a practice, so we are looking at a practice which is mainly two things, effective and of course practical. So the effective is all about the desired results. Does it generate desired result? At the same time, whether the practically something which you are doing, solving a problem, the problem which is simply the desired level and the current level, or the gap. In technically we call performance gap. There is something to be done that is being addressed. Now, when it comes to these practices, if you look at as managers, we do a lot of practices. So in that sense, we are going to look at best practices. So in that sense, friends, the good news is what? And our professor mentioned very clearly about the multiple sectors. In all these sectors, you can have any discipline can be taken into account. Now, in that sense, why CPM? Because CPM is a professional body, a chartered professional body, which is a platform for all the disciplines to come in, where HR, marketing, finance, operations, IT, engineering, you name it, that's a platform. That's why CPM is having a unique blend, a wonderful kind of integration. So in that sense, I think by looking at 2020 and 2021, we have also a national role to look at in multiple ways. One is to recognize those who are doing well, those who have done well, those who are sustaining well, and those who are making some impact to the society, industry, or economy at large. So at the same time, we should start somewhere to build this knowledge base. I think that's the intervention. I think in line with 2022 international conference, we are taking this step to take it forward. So I want to thank Professor Watawala for his visionary leadership of giving a helping hand and supporting to this kind of initiative to make it a reality. I think that leadership, support, and backing is the clear success factor behind this entire process. So, ladies and gentlemen, if I may take you to a couple of nitty-gritties. So, overall process, it's all about technical briefing today. That is January 28. We have a tight line, of course, that is submission of a synopsis and the registration on or before February 7th. Now, I would explain, though you might see that this time is very tight, but it is not the case because the synopsis, which I'll explain in a while, we are not going to ask a massive report per se, no. So, which I'll explain, so February 7th or before is vital. Then the top 20 shortlisted synopses will be invited to present virtually. So under the circumstances, to make it very effective, February 14th and 15th, so Monday and Tuesday. So we are going to take those top 20 shortlisted synopses. So that will be listed, checked by I will explain the marking process in a while. Particularly, there's a technical committee. There's a technical committee. So technical committee would involve in a process, and they give marks based on this stipulated criteria, and that will be automatically collated. The automatically top 20 will be in a transparent manner being shortlisted. Then friends, it's all about top 10 will be selected to be recognized at the conference, so that February 24th is where the international conference is taking place. In that, we are going to take this top 10. Out of the top 10, so we are going to give top five on an alphabetical load. We don't know who is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but the top 5 will be given an opportunity to showcase their practices in this. So if I may say a little bit additional here, as Professor Watawala clearly said, many managers are doing well in their companies. Sometimes they do overly doing, but are we clearly distinctly identifying what we are doing in any of the discipline? Are we taking some effective and practical practices, and which are making results, which are making an impact to the organization, industry, society, economy at large, which can be like benchmark, which we can say the one of the best practices, that could be the next practice next time, but one of the best practices for others to follow, others to learn, others to look at. So in that sense, it's very worthwhile to get this top 3 to be recognized as gold, silver, and bronze. And of course, other 2 will be getting a special merit award as well. But all in all, the top 10 will be recognized in our first intervention. So as I said, ladies and gentlemen, marking criteria. So all independent technical judging members who are going to mark on case-to-case basis. They are not going to look at comparatively. They are not, because the sectors dynamics are different. So we are not going to compare the sectors at the moment. We are going to look at the case-to-case, and finally marks to be collated, then top ranks one will be proceeding. So does it mean that some of the best practices are not relevant or irrelevant? No. Among the best, the top. So that's the kind of what is the distinct will be identified. So in that sense, CPM is looking at this technical committee with like least intervention of directly or indirectly to these companies. So the judging team, the technical team would look at this based on the criteria. It's a matter of looking at factual base, the marking. So there's a marking aspect. Then as I said, if I take you to the application process, it's all about participating organizations need to send a synopsis. Now, synopsis, as I said, it's about 1,500 to 2,000 words. But ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind, it should be ideally between 1,500 to 2,000. It should not be less. So that means you don't have anything to write. Also, you should not write more and more. So the simplicity is the requirement. So the 2,000 is the upper margin, so the including appendices and references. So here, keep in mind, we are not expecting this Harvard type, American Psychological Association type references. No, it's about if you have taken, other than the annual reports, company websites, like central bank report, daily FT kind of a paper, like that. Other than that, you don't need to have a lot of, say, appendices and references. But you should be able to generate that electronically as an email attachment or submitting. If you're submitting, it's a CD. So it should be MS Word format, Times New Roman, and font size is 14. The main reason is we want to look at readability. At the same time, we want to reduce the lot of content. So you can see font size 14 means it's about like nearly about 5-6 pages of work is a synopsis, not a. So it's quite manageable. It's easy. So it's about like criteria based writing. Now with that, if you look at the evaluation, now this gives you a lot of clarity what you're supposed to do. So friends, think about you as a manager. I'm not going to discuss about manager as leader, but here the manager is the integrative function. That's why chartered professional manager is building this management profession where all the professions and the professionals to come and join and get that it's sorted. For an example, you might be in accounting, you might be in finance, IT, HR, but end of the day, what we are going to do is all about managing. So Professor Watola talk about the government, non-government, it's about management. All right. So then the first scenario is what? There is a emerge scenario. So emerge scenario is all about this is year 2020 or 2021. Of course, you have been in the business 18, 19. By the time you are reaching to 2020, we know the lockdown, so some of the different experiences, either 20 or 21, both years can be considered. So take that emerge scenario. Emerge scenario, you don't need to write a lot. It's about 10 marks. Very briefly tell that what is the company status scenario. Probably you can compare with the previous year. That means either 19 or even 20. And in such situation, so that's the context. So in that context, look, now you have seen some challenges, you are seeing some requirements. So you don't need to write pages and pages. It's a emerge scenario. So the emerge situation. So then what's happening? Where your management thinking coming into picture. That is where like many practices. If you look at on an individual ground, like having seeing big picture, attention to detail, communication, listening, there are also some best practices. But in management, in organizations, where we are taking some specific steps. If you take HR function itself, you may look at performance, you may look at your recruitment, you may look at your compensation, you may look at your health and safety. So practices there. If you look at operations wise, your cycle time, your KPI working, your the stocks management, procurement management, like think about your IT. So the IT enabling how the platforms are being created, how the platforms are transferred to a new system, marketing, your the promotions, your the exports, all sorts of practices there. Now there, one of the requirements is that, friends, you need to, ladies and gentlemen, identify one practice which, among many practices that company has adopted. to explain here, to connect here, to bring for this process of making it social, and say that how you are bringing. Now, before you address the number 3, you need to tell that what is this practice. So it's a operational practice, it's one of the HR practices, it's one of the marketing practices, like that. Well, with that, now what? Now you have to say that in that emerging situation, a particular gap there, you are bringing a specific practice which you need to distinctly identify, and how has said best management practice contributed to bringing back to the business. So earlier there were some delays, blocks, or like hindrance, and so on. Now the best practice work towards comeback, bringing back. So then just explaining in words won't be adequate, ladies and gentlemen. In that sense, we would encourage you, that's why we have allocated 30 marks, to provide the minimum 3 pieces of evidence, at least evidence 1, 2, 3. Okay, evidence 1. So this shows how it has turned around, how it has helped, the transition was managed, like that. So this is a vital question. Now then, of course, that is not adequate. In business, in board meetings, in management committee meetings, what the management is looking at, the company is looking at here, I am saying that senior management is looking at what? They're asking, okay, you have done something, now tell me what are your outputs and outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you mean by output? Anything measurable, quantifiable, and number-wise. So tell that how this has helped to get our people function upgraded, our the operational cycle time reduced, our cost saving in our cost management practices. So like that. So get that the practice should be measured or desired. What is the outcome? Outcome is all about qualitative impact. The effectiveness increase, efficiency increase, the resilience increase, agility increase. You are in IT, so you can say that your agility, your responsive time, and your engagement increase. So these are all outcome. But one should not be just confused with both output and outcome. That's why we have allocated 25 marks. So friends, that means what? Clearly say that we have got this practice applied because of that, as a result of that. There can be, you might ask some questions later, how exactly we are going to tell that that particular practice was held. That's a little bit tricky. That's why we say that probably from an industry point of view, that's a significant impact. Or it can be a societal. It can be even an economy at large, like someone who has come out with and promoted their marketing strategy through the export strategy. So that's a new practice which they have adopted. So that could be an impact to the even economy. So this is a dire requirement at the moment, right? Having said that, somehow you need to connect with your available sources, numbers, and say that, look, this is how this has increased. Well, it is fantastic if you can highlight that how we are going now taking forward, either sustaining or consolidating. So yes, we have introduced and not we are just giving it up. Now we are contributing, we are now doing it. You are doing over and over again and making it to a next level. So that's why 15 marks allocated. And finally, 5 marks have been given, a brief description of any other supporting aspects, like you want to consolidate what you have done by bringing any other dimension, like it has been already recognized, management has given a green light to take it and so on. So any of those aspects. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, now assume you have given your synopsis and now you are giving the first step, and that's a kind of a breakthrough at this point, because CPM at this moment in the overall evaluation are not taking the step of going to companies and check this. So therefore our 2 evaluations 50-50, the synopsis, the desk review, and the oral presentation. So in that sense, we are looking at based on your evidences. All right. So with that, now we have been invited, the top 10, actually the 20 have been invited for this oral presentation. So in that sense, now you have done your groundwork, you have presented very well. It's all about bringing this, what is a company justification background to the company is 10%, and 50% of marks have been given justification with evidence. So bringing back to business efforts. So that means what? So you need to highlight the whatever you are writing there, bring it with those justification, evidence here, the evidence 1, evidence 2, 3, like that. With that, company has turned around. With that, company has come to bring back to the business as usual. And of course, like how the impact, either quantitative or outcome basis, and some of the key findings, and the sustainability. Sustainability means taking it forward. So then overall effectiveness of the presentation, that is where some of that's a pampering side, that as far as the presentation is concerned, that is a judge's call, like looking at how this presentation is effective and so on. How it is targeted and focused, because it's a 10 minutes presentation. So 10 minutes presentation, as the documents say what you have got, and 10 minutes questions. So it's a very strict discipline activity. It is not 11, it's not 12, it's 10 minutes. But later I would say that those who are showcasing at the conference, there is a additional chance of 5 minutes. So it's a 15 minutes at the conference for those 5. Well, some other important factors, friends. So it's along with the documents, at least we need one document that is called supporting data to be submitted. That document is available in your the email set shared by the director CPM, where you need to mention about the organization and so on. But you would see that number 7 is very important, because sometimes companies had a myth of like while they are doing good, but still they are not treated their people well in some cases. So that's why we have included number 7 question. Say, look, a brief description of the way the company manage employee affairs during 2020 and 2021 due to COVID-19 pandemic pressure, that you need to say. And one important thing is your head or the chairman or MD should sign and put a stamp. So then there is a buying in this process. From a CPM point of view, the institute is assuring the security of the information. Though you are sharing this is only by the technical evaluation process, not for any third party. And the evaluators are adhering to the confidentiality of the information. But technically, what you are presenting means you are ready to take it forward, the industry contribution, country contribution, economic contribution through your practices. That is where the management profession would build. Also, by 7th, of course, you need to duly completing of the payment arrangements. That needs to be done. And the decision of the judging panel will be the final and will not be subject to any change, because there's a clear-cut, transparent process. That because, friends, 3 things here. The synopsis would be judged by one technical committee, and also the initial presentations, the 20 presentations would be judged by the same committee, so that it is inconsistent with the synopsis and the report. But those alphabetical order wise, the name wise, the 5 companies which are selected at the conference, we are going to invite an independent judging panel, and that judging panel would select the gold, the silver and bronze, and the 2 merit awards. So therefore, you can see the process is very, very transparent. And at the same time, headed by Professor Waterwell, there is the observing, judging process kind of a panel also. The senior members of CPM Governing Council also taking part and see how the process is taking place. So that's a kind of a practice what we are looking at. So with that, overall, it's time for you to, rather than just doing, hey, come to the world, come out and say. And CPM is going to create a platform. Your contact point is Mr. Dilshan Alsakuran, the director who is there with us, and his contact email, all there are details there. The mobile number is there, and the director CPM, CPM Sri Lanka ORG. So friends, in my concluding remark, I want to say that CPM as a national professional management body as Professor Watawala clearly said, that has a kind of implicit responsibility to come forward and do something at this point, at least to recognize and take it and develop the management profession. So with that, we can go a long way. So about 10, 12 years back, Professor Watawala has initiated this great institution. Now we are seeing that around the country, the people are talking about and involving and engaging. So with that, it is high time for us to now take it to the next level. So in that sense, while thanking Professor Watawala for this backing and supporting Best Management Practices Company Awards, back to business in the new normal. That's what this initiative, I'm sure you will come forward and enjoy in this process, and we'll take it your questions. Thank you very much, all the participants, and over to you, Professor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samantha, for your presentation. What I would request any of you all, I think we have one or two questions, I will take those up, but kindly send it on Q&A. And if anyone wants to speak, kindly raise your hand so that then we can invite you. But of course, I try to keep it brief. The first question that is there, I can then, let me just see this. Yeah, it's under the, yeah, okay. I think about the practices, yeah.
May I answer that question?
Yeah, you got it. No, do we need to highlight only one best practice adopted, though we have many practices?
Exactly. That's a good one. Professor, you also can add. I'm just giving my thoughts. I think, Mr. Pradeep, the point is very simple. You are doing a couple of practices, otherwise you can run a business organization. So among those best practices where you have data, the output, outcome, significance, and real contribution where entire management is looking at, select that and showcase. You think that which is to be worthwhile to showcase, take that. And of course, if you are going to talk couple of practices, what may happen? One thing is 10 minutes would not be enough. Your synopsis cannot be managed and your focus is all over. And the emerged situation could have been contributed due to various practices. Select the most critical one, most prioritized one, then showcase. As we move, as we develop this probably with the CPM intervention into a sector wise and so on, we can look at subsequently. But at this juncture, focus on one distinct practice. That's my answer, Professor, in short.
Yeah, Pradeep, what I will do is, let me see. If you like, I can give you maybe if you are satisfied, there is no problem. But if you want to maybe get any further clarification, let me, okay, Pradeep. Pradeep, I will maybe.
He says I'm okay.
He's okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Fine. Yeah. Then I think.
The second question asks about where to find the application. In that sense, here I think Saveen. So here there is no separate application. You need to write synopsis and that submitting data 1 page. That's it. So submit along with the payments where Mr. Dilshan would look at. That's the application submission. Dilshan, you can add anything.
Yeah, even all the documents we have been uploaded in the website. It's available in our website under the event. And also we will email particular documents if you can contact through the given email or the telephone numbers. We will submit, we will send by email all supporting documents and also the links to be registered.
I think Dr. Samantha, they are asking for your email. If you can put the email to the chat, or is it available? No.
I would say that like they should not reach to me at this point because we have a transparent system. CPM is a secretariat which is having. So I am giving my voluntary service as a technical chair. So the Mr. Dilshan Alsuguratne is the contact point, but any other clarification they can reach to you, Professor, as a president. I think there is no any personal engagement for this, but if they ask any clarity matters of this through CPM, I would clarify.
Yeah. So I think as Dr. Samantha mentioned, you can contact Dilshan, our director. Of course, if there is anything further, certainly we can, as Dr. Samantha mentioned, you can speak to me and we can clarify any matter that is required. I just want to give a small explanation on this 1,500 to 2,000 words. Even in our management reporting, even on the accounting, because we just recently had a awarding ceremony on integrated reporting. Even there, they always go on a very concise report. So where one would stick to the main points rather than trying to go into too much of detail. So I think really that will also help, and it will help the evaluation panel also to see what are the areas that you all have really looked into and the key points that you can put. So that will really help you all.
To add a point, sorry, Professor, to add a point, what Professor said exactly like spot on. Dear members, when it comes to the panelists, what they are looking at, not a kind of a literal document. They are looking at the same marks order in the marking scheme. Organization, that introduction, emerged situation, clearly described, out of that marks, deserved mark, which is a rubric. The rubric also works like low, middle, high. So adequately addressed, does not address, meet expectations. Then it's the same way the evidences are given. The practice has explained. Evidences are given. Output, outcome indicated. Like that, marking also based on the same. So therefore, don't think that writing additional paragraphs would give some marks. No. Stick to the simpler the format given. Thank you.
I think there is a question. Is this about giving business sector wise like hotels, insurance, telecommunications, etc. are all considered on a same platform? Now, I just want to tell you that we have this overall, now, although we have the different sectors, as Dr. Samantha mentioned, we are not going to compare with anyone. But we, based on our criteria, we will give the marking. But we will also now on the overall one, it will be not sector-wise. So the 10 best that we select will be from the entire number who will submit their applications. But we will have an appreciation certificate, or which we will maybe discuss and see for the different sectors, but the overall would be based on all the applications. But we may have, say, supposing you are talking of hotel sector, telecommunication sector, but depending on the number of applications that there are in each of these sectors, and if they have done well, certainly I think we will give them a appreciation certificate or something maybe better than that. But so that the sector would also be covered and they will also be recognized, but they will have to achieve that minimum number, the minimum number of marks will have to be achieved. But overall, it will be the 10 that we are selecting. Then from the 10, we go to the 5 excellent, and then from the excellence, we will select the gold, silver, and the bronze. Samantha, you want to add something on that?
Yeah, Professor, I think you have clearly covered. As Professor said very clearly, when it comes to a practice, as I highlighted in the presentation also, we look at the practice. The dynamics would vary. That's why you have to contextualize very well. So at the moment, we are not going to comparatively look at. But of course, as a professional body, the CPM, we are looking those parts later. At the moment, we are looking at the practices in that. So we are not going to compare banking versus, say, non-banking institute or education versus healthcare like that. No. And so that's what we clearly highlighted. And so yeah, that's the starting point.
So actually what we want to say is we will recognize the people in different sectors also,
yeah.
But when it comes to overall, it will be all will be taken into account. There is another question. Do we need to show the management theories which are relevant to the company practice?
Right. So answer is, in this case, when you are explaining the practice, if there is a particular theoretical backing is there to like support for your the practice selection, you may mention very briefly, but please don't write about 2-3 pages about based on this theory, that theory you have chosen. No. The one of the practices, let's say for an example, you have taken one HR practice based on a particular world famous compensation model or the salary set evaluation model. That's enough. But the idea is that what is the practice which is effective, which is practical. Practical means addressing the problems that company is looking at. It's not about cramming of books, various journals and sources. It's about desired results, getting the goal, reaching the goal. That's what we are looking at. So we are not discouraging theories, but within this shortest possible time, focus on the practice. The theoretical support would be handy. Thank you.
I think now, like what Dr. Samantha just explained now, we are looking at the practical aspects. So I think you should pay more attention to the practical aspects, but maybe briefly you can mention theory, but we are wanting, because that's how you have been successful, you know. If not for the practice, you will not be successful, especially in this situation of the COVID-19 pandemic. So that's why we have started this to reward you all based on the practical aspects which you all have implemented. I can't see any other questions.
Seems to be one thing I want to tell you that after this session, the video recording will be uploaded to the CPM website, so you can refer and even check that.
I think we can even send it to all those who have attended the sessions today, plus any others who want it also. We can do it. So I think so. Let me. I think all the questions have been answered. So what we are hoping is that, of course, this is a new venture we have started to recognize, as I said earlier, the companies that have excelled in management practices under the current COVID-19 pandemic. And I think we need to appreciate the good work that has been done, and especially the management practices. Today, everyone is talking of various other areas, maybe financial is one area, but management practices, still no one has given much maybe prominence or publicity. So that would be one area that we would like to maybe appreciate and also reward, so that all companies who have done exceedingly well will be able to be highlighted. And as we said earlier, where you will get the opportunity to make presentations at the conference. That's another big achievement, because normally that is something that is kept separately, but here we brought it into the conference, so that that will give a big boost to the companies as well as for those who are coming for the conference. Any final words, Dr. Samantha?
From my end, Professor, I want to thank for your leadership, for giving the support of the required time, because it's a timely intervention, Professor. From a chartered professional manager's point of view, if we can at least give some kind of leveraging support to those who have done well and those who have attempted to do something during 20 and 21, which is a starting point to build this management profession in Sri Lanka, as you have done in accounting and other professions. This is a major boost. I think this is not a though under the health conditions we are not visiting the company under these two categories. I think we can make a good start. We need to get everyone together and to take it forward, Professor. That's my final note. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Samantha. I think the years, I think that was something that you are taking 2000 and 2001. I think if you can just amplify on that, that will be good.
2021, 2020 and 20.
2020. So we are looking at the 2 years. 2019 we had the impact, then 2020 and 2021. So that would be the way that we are doing. So let me also thank everyone for their participation. Don't think that the time is too short, because the private sector and the other organizations, I think you have done so well. This is only just maybe a small thing, and the faster you do it, the better. And what we find is the better results you get when we really act fast, you know. So that's a good thing. So maybe Dilshan, maybe you can conclude and tell anything that is required for the final maybe words that where they can come and meet you and get anything done, you know.
Right. Thank you very much, Professor. That's, I must say, the wonderful opening remarks and overview you have comprehensively explained. So it was well noted by the participants, I am very sure. Even I must pay our gratitude to Dr. Samantha Ratnayaka, who is spearheading to the judging panel, as well as the entire process of this Best Management Practices Company Awards 2022, back to business in the new normal. So companies who need to get more clarity or any sort of assistance, they can directly contact us. We have shared our telephone numbers, emails, and also the details available in the website. So from the Secretariat, we always willing our best support to succeed this program. So we wish you all the best for all the companies to taking part this event, and we hope to see the best management practices in this country. Thank you very much. Signing off on behalf of the CPN Sri Lanka, we wish you all the best again and have a pleasure evening. Thank you.
Thank you, and all the very best. And we are looking forward to your participation. So please do it as early as possible. Thank you and bye. Thanks, Dr. Samantha.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Okay. Right. So we will conclude then.